Damn, I forgot the microphone again. Oh well, hopefully these come across well enough with a laptop microphone. Anyways, good morning, magic players and puggy lovers of all kinds. Thank you for tuning into our channel. We are excited to say that we have 150 subscribers. 151 exactly, actually. I kind of feel like a Pokemon master as of recording this video, which will be posted on Saturday, but I'm recording it on Thursday, so chances are you guys might actually have a couple more friends by the time we get to that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Um, we're celebrating with the pizza that I promised Kaiba a bit ago for the 125. We just didn't get a chance to eat it yet. Today my dad's out for a good hour or so, so I wanted to do this with Kaiba, share this experience with you guys. And for the 151, I have something special I wanted to do with you guys. Um, I just want to see if this works the way I think it does. Ooh, no, that's going to cover up the whole thing. I don't want to do that. Okay, we're just going to use the phone camera then. That is fine. I couldn't remember how I had OBS set up, and I didn't have time to play with it. What I want to do is go over this video of the professors. It's called The Biggest Problems with Commander, and I didn't get too far into it, but I was really enjoying what I'd seen so far, and I thought it'd be fun to respond to that, eat some pizza with Kaiba, and maybe crack a few random packs over here I have. I'm not sure what I'll pick at random out of the drawer, but there's some over there, and there are some infinities, so I probably will do a couple mixes of the two.
Why did you stop being a vigilante? The line was crossed. I was raised to believe in grace, but I was also raised to believe in retribution.
That seems kind of weird to me.
Daredevil and Born Again, only on Disney Plus.
Laptop muted. That's not good. This was not well planned, as you can tell. Typical me.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's...
Look at Kaiba. Well, I turned off the droid cam so I can... Or no, wrong
This is
one.
Dope Tech from Wix.
That one. There we go. Look at the beautiful puggy while I get set up and eat a bit of pizza.
Now this whole flow is a conversation, so your words actually build your website. I'm going for a store, and after a free-flowing conversation, I get this detailed site brief. And just like that, my first draft is ready. Now that's dope. Next, you can really get in there and style it your way. Here's the fun part. You can regenerate this whole thing over and over, or you can tweak something specific, like your layout. Let me describe what I had in mind. Yeah, that's fire. If there was ever a time to speak life into your dreams, it's right now using the Wix AI website builder.
Okay.
On that fear of commitment thing you've got.
I
think it was all just a dream playing Commander, and it's that there's just no good way to play Commander online. Now, technically speaking, there are ways of playing it online, but also technically, I specifically...
Here we go.
The first thing wrong with Commander actually stems from my love of playing Commander, and it's that there's just no good way to play Commander online. Now, technically speaking, there are ways of playing it online, but also technically, I specifically said there are no good ways of playing it online. There are webcam clients like Spelltable, which probably get the closest to capturing the magic, no pun intended, of sitting down to play Commander with your friends, but it just isn't quite the same. To play this way, everyone is going to need to have an overhead camera, good lighting, good internet, obviously a computer, desk space. The requirements are many, and in the end, you are left with a low resolution and often glare filled video feed of every board state you're supposed to be keeping up with. Not to mention the pain of trying to resolve a card like Gitaxian Probe without everyone at the table seeing your opponent's hand, or playing commanders like Tasha the Witch Queen that require you to take control of your opponent's cards. Nonetheless, I do think Spell Table is one of the best ways to play Commander.
Straight off, I totally agree with this actually. There's at least a few commander decks that I own that I can think of off the top of my head. For sure, my sacrifice deck that I love that lets me steal everybody's creatures and sacrifice them instead of my own if I want to. Um, my deck that lets me um, look at everyone's hand constantly because there's actually an enchantment that lets you do that, which is ridiculous. But it's an older enchantment, which is even better. Um, so cards like that make the game really difficult on Spell Table. It is the way that I play Commander. I always play on Spell Table when I want to play. I'm not a fan of online arena or anything like that. But yeah, he has a really good point here. Continue, Professor.
Online. I not only have a video covering how to get started on it, but I also have an entire Discord set up so that people can find free games of Webcam Commander online. If you are interested in joining the Discord, I will include links to it in this video's description. So yes, Webcam Commander via Spell Table may not be perfect, but it's probably as good as online play for the format gets. And then, of course, there are truly digital clients like Magic the Gathering Online or Cockatrice, which allow you to play the aforementioned cards with fewer issues, but then new problems crop up in their place. These digital Commander experiences remove the most important aspect of what makes a Commander game special, the social aspect. When you are playing Commander in person with your friends, or heck, even with strangers, you automatically enter into a sort of social contract. Every play you make, every attack you declare, and every board wipe you cast is being made in the face of real people. This causes you to consider the human and emotional response to the decisions you are making, and it is the heart of what makes Commander a fun social experience. Replacing those opponents with digital ones who you can't see or hear removes this consideration. Not only have you completely removed the social element from this social game, but you can't even tell if casting that farewell made anyone upset, because as soon as the game is over, your opponents will be out of your life forever. Sure, you can just queue into a new game immediately and traumatize the next group of unsuspecting Commander players, but it just isn't the same. Also, it looks
I mean, I do like to do that from time to time. At least I used to when I was really big into playing. Um, Ironically, actually, before I moved back in with my dad, I used to play way more Commander online than I do now. But yeah, that was always a fun experience. If I got like a deck to really pop off and I enjoyed it, just pop into the next community and try and do it again, see if I could repeat the experience. But in a completely different pod with completely different people. But I get what he's where he's coming from for sure. Like, um, it's been my experience though that a lot of people just don't care. They play the game to play the game. Um, I try to find bracket two pods, but it's really hard to do that in my area at least. So, and typically when people say, "Oh, I have a bracket two deck," it's like, yeah, technically Architect gave you a bracket two ranking, but you know and I know that's not a bracket two deck. And there's lots of those. Kev is apparently very tired. Maybe he's a little upset that I actually went out and got the pizza and came back. I don't know. He might not eat any of it before this video is over. He's a good baby, though. Anyways, let's continue this.
like butt. Sorry for the strong language there, but playing Commander on any of the digital clients, not just Magic Online, looks like absolute butt. It is.
Actually, I'm not eating right now, so I'll put my face back on so you guys can see me laughing. Because that's really funny. I like that a lot. The professor has a really good point. Um, I recently learned that, like, for all my recordings and for my games and stuff, I at least have to have the window open in
Is
order to have proper lighting, and
slow
I still have to
and
have this overhead light.
awkward and
It's
grueling.
terrible.
And if there is truly, truly a hell, and I am headed to it, then what awaits me is an eternity of playing Commander against strangers on Magic Online. There really is no good digital client for playing Commander, and maybe creating one is an impossible task. There will likely never be Commander on Arena, and even if there were, what do you envision that could even look like? Regardless, this lack of a sufficient digital play space to quickly and easily fire off a pod with your friends, both near and far, is one of my biggest gripes with the format, but it is not my only one.
Oh, it's going to commercial. I don't like commercials, so I'm going to crack a pack of Infinity while we do this. Yes, Infinity is surprisingly cheap at my store. Maybe it's actually more expensive than it should be, but I still think it's pretty cool. And no, I'm not getting a camera stick to try and put it and rig it the awkward way. I'm just going to put this on my leg and we're going to do it this way. That makes the most sense. One at a time. Step right up, 3 in a blind, open 2 attractions. I do love that. That's pretty simple and pretty effective. Blufferfish, yeah.
Your perfect wedding begins at Vistaprint, with gorgeous invites starting at under $1.50 and designs that match your theme, which we can also print on napkins, signs, and more for your big day. Take 40% off wedding stationery at vistaprint.ca with code WEDDING40.
It's like truth or lie. Oop. Just gonna pause that so we can continue the pack. Gobsmacked? Enchant non-land permanent. Enters the battlefield. Choose a person outside of the game. You can see that person from your seat. The enchanted permanent can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. The first one was a real card. The second 2 were acorns. Interesting. Okay. Ooh, we got something cool at the back there, but I think that's just the attraction card peeking out. Stop falling over! Ticket Turbo Tubes 3. Add 1 mana of any color, pay 3, you get a ticket. I like that. That's a really good one. Damn, like Vegetation Abomination. 2 and a green for a 2/2 Death Touch. Tap, sacrifice this thing, roll a 6-sided die. You gain life equal to the result. I mean, it's a real one at least, but We Champion. 1 red, 0/1. Whenever you place a sticker on. Oh, no, anywhere. This thing is +1/+1 until end of turn. If it's an art sticker, you put a +1/+1 counter on this. It's kind of cool. Enemy object 4 and a blue. You get 7 tickets. Choose an inanimate object you own from outside the game. Put a power and toughness sticker on it. You may also put a name sticker, an art sticker, and an ability sticker on it. And then put it onto the battlefield as a creature. Acorn, but a crazy fun one. Oh, we got something peeking out there. Squirrel Squatters. 3 and 2 green for 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, open an attraction. When it attacks, create a 1/1 green squirrel token that's tapped and attacking for each attraction you visited this turn. I like that a lot, actually. That's a cool one. Blank Balls of Fire. 3 and a red. Whenever this enchantment enters the battlefield, you may put a name sticker on it. And whenever you put a sticker on this enchantment, it deals damage equal to the number of O's in name stickers on this enchantment to any target. Huh. Odd. And that one actually counts as a real one. Ooh, we got a new legendary. Jermaine, Pride of the Circus. 2 green. Green tap, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature with 4 or more legs. Okay. 1 and 2 green tap until end of turn. All creatures able to block target creature with 4 or more legs do so. And it's a 2/3. Too bad it's an acorn, but that's really cool. We get a full art forest. Nice. That's pretty sweet. Stop peeking out at me. Drop tower? I think that's a new one. Target creature gains flying until end of turn, or until any player rolls a 1, whichever comes. Yeah, that's a new one. Nice. Balloon stand, not so much. Pretty sure we pulled that before. I'm going to zoom in for this, even though it's been peeking out the whole time. Hopefully you guys haven't figured out what it is, because I haven't. I've never seen it before. Ooh, Leela Hospitality Hostess. It is an acorn, unfortunately, but it is a mythic. You look at the top card of your library anytime you cast common spells from the top of your library, and guests you control get +1/+1. Huh. Interesting. Clown robot and I don't know if I've got that one before or not. I don't think I do. I don't think I've seen Zapped before. Nice. Alright, back to this. You okay, kinda? Yeah? You thought he was back? My dad might come back suddenly, and if he does, this video will suddenly stop.
It's a tale as old as Commander itself. The question of how to balance deck power levels at the table. It's the origin of the joke, my deck is about a 7. It's the reason behind the bracket system that Wizards of the Coast introduced after taking over the format, and with all due respect to the bracket system, which I spent about half a dozen videos covering and explaining and even encouraging as best I could, it's a problem that can't really ever truly be solved. Simply put, if you sit down at a Commander table with players you don't know or don't know well, you run a significant risk that the decks everyone brought to battle with don't line up well against one another. It's very common for one player to bring something either significantly stronger or significantly weaker than the rest of the table. Disparity in power levels is one of the biggest issues that plagues Commander, but it doesn't rank higher on the list because there are a few mitigating factors. First of all, to some extent, games of Commander are capable of self-regulating. If one player at the table has a stronger deck than the other 3 players, there is some ability for those other 3 players to team up, so to speak, to keep the most threatening deck at bay. Gosh, am I the most threatening player in every game of Commander that I've ever played? I must be. Of course, this strategy is only partially effective. If a deck is significantly stronger than the other 3 decks, it might be capable of taking on the whole table on its own without much difficulty. Furthermore, even if the rest of the table is capable of containing the strongest deck when they work in tandem, this solution breaks the spirit of Commander to some extent. Commander is a free-for-all game. So if a game turns into a legitimate 3v1 out of necessity, that's not exactly a positive outcome, but it is, let's be honest, a very common outcome. It's just how Commander works. Which brings me to the heart of this point, which is that even more than a power level disparity problem, Commander has an expectations disparity problem. The simplest way to explain what I mean by this is that it's very possible for 4 players to sit down at a table to play the same game of Commander with wildly different ideas as to how that game should look. One player might be there to win at all costs, while another might be there hoping every deck gets to do something cool. One player might hate interaction or counter magic, or just the entire color blue, while another player loves playing control. One player might hate stacks pieces of any kind, while the other thinks the limitations they enact make for fun, in the trenches style gameplay. One of the most beautiful things about the game of Magic is there are many, many different ways to play it, and by playing it, express yourself. The 5 colors, the 10 color pairs, and the 10 color trios give players access to unique gameplay experiences, and naturally become a kind of identity for those players. Commander is, at its best, an exercise in self-expression. But the dark flip side to enthusiastic self-expression is a narrow lens of what's acceptable. If I think a good game of Commander is one where everyone's deck does its thing, and you think a good game of Commander is one where every player is trying their best to win as quickly as possible, those are 2 irreconcilable viewpoints. One of us is going to come out of the game disappointed. All of this is to say that there's no easy solution for the power level or expectation disparity problems. I just don't think any number of brackets or game changers can ever truly solve it. These are just problems that are baked into the format's identity at this point. The only fail-proof workaround is to only play Commander with your playgroup and to also be really, really good at communicating with that playgroup. But not everyone even has a regular playgroup, and even those that do don't have a playgroup that is sufficiently large or diverse enough to avoid the pitfall of playing the same games over and over again. As such, these disparities remain one of the biggest problems with Commander.
You can choose to raid the caravan, or you can choose to guard it. This is a game where slaying monsters are not the only way to grow stronger.
Number 3 is politics. I love politics.
The next biggest problem with Commander is the role that table politics play in this game. Now, we all do politics to some extent. Don't attack me this turn, and I won't kill your commander next turn. Or kill this problem permanent for me, and I'll kill you last. There are so many examples of commander politics at this point, but they all essentially amount to the same thing. Make a suboptimal choice that benefits me, and I'll make a suboptimal choice that benefits you. While a kind of tit-for-tat gameplay is inevitable in a multiplayer free-for-all game, in Commander, finding yourself on the wrong end of an in-game political exchange can often leave a sour taste in your mouth. The existence of politics in Commander creates a facet of the game that has nothing to do with the rules of Magic or Commander. Oftentimes, a deal at the table will benefit players who are ahead to the detriment of those who are behind. That might seem like a claim that's hard to make absent of context, but think about it for a moment. What do most political exchanges look like in Commander? If we accept that politics is a means of avoiding getting hit, either with removal in...
That's a fair question. Let's ponder that for a second, kinda. What do table politics look like? Is it really people who are unfairly getting disadvantaged, being, essentially pushed into doing more disadvantageous stuff for themselves? Maybe. I personally like to think of it more as the person who's in second or third trying to make a move to go up the chain. A lot of times when I'm playing politics, it's not because I'm in the lead, it's because I'm close to the lead, but not close enough. If I'm in last place, my goal is to just sit there and let them all do their thing and be ignored. If I'm in first place, my goal is to just make sure that I stay in first place. But if I'm in second or third, politicking is like a big part of how I play a lot of the time. Especially because I'm a lot less focused on like I'm not the magic player who's going to win through um a random sorcery or instant of the time. I'm going to win most of the time through battle because that's the way I enjoy playing the game. It's because I came from Yu-Gi-Oh! And because that's how Magic, well, I can't say that's how Magic always was, but that's how I found my friend that I started playing Magic with in university was. There wasn't anybody who had like a damnation plus something that gave like damage to everybody for all the cards that went to the graveyard, for example. Anywho, you gonna nap for a bit? Yeah, that was good pizza. Yeah, we'll have more in a bit. Anyways, let's see what Professor thinks about politics.
combat or by some creature's ability, then one of the main times it would be really necessary to propose a deal would be when you would be the target of aggression absent a deal. And just when would you be the target of aggression? Well, by the principle I laid out in my video on threat assessment, which I'll link in the comments below, the answer is when you're the threat. The problem with politics is a similar result as the problem of poor threat assessment, though they get to that result via different means. Poor threat assessment is a mistake in player judgment, whereas politics tend to suggest more savvy player judgment. But either way, both cases often end up with a player who is behind getting the short end of the stick. The biggest problem with politics lies in incentives. Playing well in Commander means using politics to your advantage. If you want to win a game of Commander, you'll probably need to engage in politics at some point or another. Therefore, as with many issues on this list, the problem of politics is an inextricable aspect of the game of Commander. And that's a bummer, because it would be nice if players didn't have to engage with a pseudo-barter system in order to play Magic's most popular format. So what are the two biggest problems that I see?
Okay, I will admit, even though I love the politicking of the game, I will admit that Commander has that specifically because it's a 4-player format. If you're playing a 2-player game, obviously politicking is not going to make a hell's beans worth of difference. You could beg for an extra turn, and maybe somebody will be really silly enough to actually give it to you, but chances are that's not going to happen in a 1v1 situation. Whereas in a commander situation, you've got a real chance of actually politicking people into attacking somebody else or what have you. Do I believe the person who is the threat is the one who's always going to agree to a deal? Yes, no. Um, I don't think that's been my personal experience, but I can see why he's making that argument. My personal experience, I make deals with whoever I think at the table will be beneficial for me to make the deal with. If I think it's the person who's in the lead, and I figure that making the deal will eventually get me to actually get past them, okay, fine. More often than not, I'm making a deal with the person who's either with me in second and third. If I'm in third, the person who's in second. If I'm in second, the person who's in third. Or if really I think there's a chance that I can get the fourth player to actually bump out, say, the third place person. If I'm in second, I would make a deal with the fourth place person. But I mean, ultimately, that's the way I play, though, and it's not necessarily the way other people play. So he could have a very valid point here. I'm gonna open a pack of Kaldheim, and then we'll conclude the video, and then maybe open one more pack. I have to put the camera down to do the opening since I'm holding the camera as I do it. Apologies for that, guys. But I cannot open things one-handed. I've been practicing, and it's just not possible. You're beautiful, Pumpkin Kaiba. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're beautiful. You'll get more pizza in a bit. Don't worry. You have a cool art card to start us off. I can't remember if Kaldheim had a pack trick or not, so spoilers, possibly. Oh, shoot. Alpine Meadow. Ooh, cool. Snowland that's mountain and plains? Awesome. That's probably worth a bit of change. Not that I actually care about that. I care about the fact that I can search that. That is cool. I eventually am going to probably end up having to build like a mountains-based snow deck. And it makes sense to throw planes into that, so this would be a really cool card to have for that deck. Nice. Awesome, it is not. Okay. Feed the Serpent. 2 and 2 black, exile target creature or planeswalker. Yeah, that's okay. Jarl of the Forsaken. Now that's a fun one. I do love him. He can enter at instant speed, and you can also foretell him. So basically, what the goal of this card is to foretell it, and then play it actually at flash speed for the second half. And when it enters the battlefield, it destroys target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. It's a 3/2 as well, so I mean, it's pretty solid all around stats wise. So far, the Snowland is definitely the card to beat, though. That's the first time we've actually pulled one. I think that's both. I might have one more. Might be a swamp and something. As soon as the cost cast this spell, exile a creature card from your graveyard. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Sorcery speed, no thanks. I do love me a Wither Crown. I have several copies of it though, so I didn't need an extra, but it is fun because the enchanted creature gets a base power of 0, so unless somebody has like +1/+1 counters or a way to buff their creatures, you can really nerf somebody's good with this. And at the beginning of their upkeep, they lose a life unless they sacrifice it as well. Fun little enchantment for sure. And I love the artwork on that one. Poison the Cup. That's a new one for me. Destroy target creature if the spell was foretold scry 2. Okay. It's not terrible. I'm not going to complain about that. Hopefully no spoilers this time. Blood Sky Berserker. 1 and a black for a 1/1. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on this thing and it gains menace. Okay. Solid. You're probably going to want to pair black with either white or blue to pull that creature's ability off, because black typically has high cost spells, I find. But for example, Vengeful Reaper, 3 and a black for a 2/3, but you're getting Flying, Death Touch, and Haste? Hell yes. And you can foretell. Fudge, yes. I love this thing. Give this thing lifelink, and it is my new favorite thing to attack with. Damn. Ooh. Snow creature, Angel Wizard, 3 and a black for a 2/2 flying trample. Pay 2 snow and it gets +2/+2. Well, that's going into my snow deck when I build it for sure. Heck yes. For those who are new to the channel, I'm building a blue-black snow-based deck eventually. It's on my list of many, many decks. But I have decided I'm taking a break from building the Goblin deck. I'm putting it aside. I'm not having fun building it. I'm really upset with it and frustrated. And I'm tired of building green. So whatever I build next is going to be anything but green, aside from the Commander Core Creator Challenge deck, of course. But I figure the next 2 or 3 decks might even not be green, if need be, just to get it out of my system, because I've built way too much green lately, and I'm just, yeah. I need something new. Graven Lore, 3 and 2 blue, scry X, where X is the amount of snow spent to cast a spell, and then draw 3 cards. Interesting. That's a good one for my snow deck, too. Pilfering Hawk. 1 and a blue for 1/2 flying and pay a snow, tap, draw a card, discard a card. Okay. Ooh. I bought a copy of this, but I've never pulled one, and I love this card. It's really fun. I haven't been able to fit it into a deck yet, though. You can make 2 people exchange control of target creatures. You can exchange control of 2 target non-basic, non-creature permanents that share a type. And then target player loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. This one's just fun to mess with the board. I'm trying to fit this into my blue, black, red deck, but so far, no luck. But I really think it'll be fun in that one. And there's probably another couple decks that I can put in, so I'm really happy to have an extra copy of that. And did we get a token? No, just a advertisement. Boo. Okay, back to this.
With the Commander format.
Really hoping to get through it before my dad gets home so that I don't have
Commander is a 100-card singleton format, but
video or the blinds.
But that's not actually true, because it's really a 99-card singleton format, since pretty much every Commander deck, and I do mean every Commander deck, has to have a Soul Ring. Actually, it's a 98-card singleton format because you're also going to want an Arcane Signet. And if you're a black deck, then you're kind of a 97-card singleton format because of course you're going to want to include a Demonic Tutor as well. And I guess that's not even an accurate number either, since pretty much every black deck should be running Deadly Rollick, right? And I suppose Toxic Deluge, Vampiric Tutor, oh, and Black Market Connections, of course. And yeah, if you're in black, you also need to include the Soul Stone, right? Gotta have Magic the Gathering. It didn't always used to be this way. When Commander was first picking up in popularity, very few cards could be considered auto-include in Commander. You had some, of course, like Mystic Remora, Rhystic Study, and Mana Drain in blue decks. White decks would probably almost always run cards like Swords to Plowshares and Wrath of God, probably Mother of Runes back in the day, and so on and so forth. But the Teferi's Protections and Smothering Tithes and Esper Sentinels? I have to cut myself off there because it would be easy to spend the entire video simply listing the generically powerful cards that have entered the Commander card pool over the past 5 or so years. Now, while there's no actual rule in Commander deck building that says you must include the must-includes, that doesn't mean their existence isn't a real issue, or that the cards don't exert an influence on the game, even if you yourself choose not to run them. That's because even if you opt out of them, your opponents might not. It can also be hard for some players to turn off that voice in their head that says there's a better option for a given slot than the one they're running. I try my best to build around my Commander, filling the various roles my deck needs with cards that specifically synergize or relate to my Commander's game plan. Nature's Lore, for instance, is a more powerful ramp spell than Sakura Tribe Elder, but Sakura Tribe Elder is a stronger card in a Meren of Clan Neltoth deck. But these kinds of choices are not always possible. There's not really a replacement for Teferi's Protection, or Deflecting Swat for that matter, and there's certainly no replacement for Bolas's Citadel. One of the initial joys of Commander was giving players the opportunity to play with cards that didn't see much play in traditional constructed formats. Dredging up old and esoteric cards to run in your deck is a rewarding experience that has become harder and harder with each new set. And it's a shame because honestly, it's far too late to put the toothpaste back in the tube. The tube is still oozing out newer and stronger toothpaste at an extraordinary rate. As I look at all of these problems in Commander, I see one unifying issue. There is really only one major problem with Commander that most of these other issues, and probably the ones that I haven't even mentioned, fall under. And that's simply that Magic the Gathering was not designed for Commander. Not only is the fact that Magic was not designed for Commander our number one problem with the format, but it's also an issue that cannot be solved because it's an inherent aspect of the very nature of casual, community-created gameplay. Magic the Gathering simply was not designed with Commander in mind. That's true both in the sense that there are cards like Sorin Markov, which can immediately make target opponent's life total become 10, the infamous Rhystic Study, which needs no explanation, and Fire Covenant that are not remotely balanced around Commander life totals, or gameplay pace, and more broadly in the sense that the spirit of the format is at odds with the intended goals of the game. In the last point, I talked about differing expectations, but there is one expectation that has become the prevailing attitude at most Commander tables. A good game is one where everyone's deck does its thing. This expectation becoming the norm makes sense given that Commander is a casual, social format. But there's a downside to it. Magic the Gathering is a game oriented towards winning. When you take a game that was designed with winning in mind and play it like winning is secondary, you're going to run into some problems. As it stands, winning is the only objective of a game of Commander that's, well, objective. All the other objectives that many Magic the Gathering players play towards are subjective. Did everyone have fun? Did everyone do their thing? These are not clearly defined metrics to evaluate the game with. When you put the goal of winning in the back seat, the game becomes amorphous. Games that end quickly are considered failures. But games that go on too long drive everyone insane. Games without interaction are one note, while games with too much interaction grind to a halt. Playing to win at all costs is frowned upon. And yet games do need to end, right? Someone needs to win. One of our most infamous episodes of Shuffle Up and Play is where Kyle Hill slams down a 2-card combo and wins on the spot. The comments were outraged. You're not supposed to win like that, the majority of people said. Do you know how ridiculous I felt saying to Kyle Hill when he returned, "Hey, by the way, try not to win like that?" Like what? He asked. You know, like that. As a result of these competing pressures, Commander has become the most arbitrary way to play Magic. Some win conditions are considered acceptable while others are not. Some interaction is considered acceptable while other interaction is not considered acceptable. Some broken mana rocks are integral to format integrity while others are relegated to CEDH. Ironically, making Commander be about subjectively having fun more than about winning leads to more conflict than there would be if the objective was objective. Tension is just baked into the format's goals. Play optimally, but not too optimally. Try to win, but don't try too hard to win. Make good deck building choices, but don't make too good of deck building choices. I'm sorry, what? Ensuring that everyone has a good time in a game of Commander is an impossible task, and yet for most players, it's the only task that matters. How do you reconcile this? My feeling is you can't. You just have to do the best you can to make the game fun, and trust everyone else to do the same. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Commander is essentially a broken format. It only works when everyone at the table pretends that it works.
This ends today.
Congressman Barnes, wow. You know, I never really thought you'd have a promising political career.
Are you broken?
Now, you might think that because I've been talking about all of Commander's weaknesses for this whole video that I'm being needlessly critical of a format that many people love, and myself included in that. But the truth is actually the opposite. Commander is Magic's most popular format in spite of these inherent issues. It is a testament to Magic that a community-designed format rose to prominence as the most popular way to play the game. Magic the Gathering is not only the best game ever designed, it's also the best game system ever designed. It is a game system so good that it can be warped into something it was never intended to do, and come out even more popular than it was initially conceived. So yes, there are many problems with Commander, many that I didn't list here that you may want to list in the comments below, but the biggest problem with Commander is just that I'm not playing it right now, because I'd really like to be. And if you would like to join in that joy with me, you can check out our latest episode of Shuffle Up and Play, where even Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic the Gathering players, we got MBT Yu-Gi-Oh! On to play Commander and have a great time. That episode, click the I or whatever, or linked in this video's description.
What is this? Yeah, you think the professor was good? You did a good job? Okay. Yeah. We're gonna open one more pack of cards, and then it's over. Yeah. That make you happy? Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. It's okay. Throne of Eldraine is a really cool set. I've only opened a couple times, so I thought it'd be a fun way to end this 151 subscriber video. Plus, it is also the pack that I am giving away for the Commander Core Creator Challenge, I believe, this month, if I remember correctly. So make sure that if you want to get one of those, you tune in. Ooh, we got a wolf token to start. I want to just double check and make sure there's no pack trick. If I need to do a pack trick, I will do it. Okay, there is a pack trick. Shoot. I don't want spoilers for you guys. So that, and maybe let's go with that, like that. I think that would be right. Land up there. Let's try that. Worst comes to worst, I messed it up by 1 or 2 cards. But at least the super stuff, good stuff will be at the back. Alright. You get a wolf token. When this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each group. Ooh, I remember needing one of these. That's true. That's cool. Other side? Nothing. Okay, that's fine though. I did need one of those for one of the groups that I own. I forget which one it is, but that is good. Steel Gaze Griffin. Flying, and whenever you draw your second card each turn, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So it becomes a 4/4, but it costs 4 and a blue. I'll probably not play that very much. Tempting Witch. 2 and a black for a 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token. Pay 2, tap, sacrifice a food. Target player loses 3 life, instead of you gaining 3 life. What do you think, Kaiba? Losing life or gaining life? Which is better? Yeah, gaining life is probably the better one. But that is fun to mess around with people sometimes. I'm going to put that one as a good one. Roving Keep. 7 for a 5/7 defender, and pay 7, it gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. It can attack as though it doesn't have defender. It is a wall. I do need more walls for my wall deck, so I will say that is actually pretty cool. That I want to build eventually. I'm really not sure what I'm going to build next because, like I said, I'm setting aside the Goblin deck, so I haven't decided what I want to build in its place because I'm just kind of taking a break from building for a bit. Probably this weekend I'll pick something new to start, though. I'm not so fond of. It's okay, but it's not great. In any way, shape, or form. Fell the Peasant. Fell the Pheasant, sorry. 1 and a green. Deals 5 damage to target creature with flying, and you get to make a food. Okay, that's actually not bad. Although I have flying cards I'm not super fond of, but that one actually is pretty good. Searing Barrage. 4 and a red. Deals 5 damage to target creature. If at least 3 red mana was spent to cast this spell, it deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. Mantle of the Tides, 1 blue. Equip creature gets +1/+2. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, attach this thing to target creature you control. Hmm. Or it has equip 3, but that's neat. I like that. Ardenvale Paladin, 3 and a white, 2/5. If at least 3 white mana was spent to cast this spell, this thing enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counter and becomes a 3/6. Okay, that's not bad. I can see playing that. Blow your house down. 2 and a red. Up to 3 target creatures can't block this turn. Destroy any of them that are walls. Aw, I like walls. But look, Kava, it's a puppy. Yeah, you don't care. You're over this. Planes. Ooh, we got a legendary. Sir Farron the Hengehammer. 2 green for a 2/2. Whenever this thing attacks, another target attacking creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is this thing's power. Nice. That's a cool legendary. Oakham Ranger. 4 green or 4 white, or a mix of the two to do both things. Bring back, create 2/1/1 white human creature tokens. Tap creatures you control get +1. That's not really worth playing. It's too expensive. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's, yeah. Red Cap Melee, 1 red, deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If a non-red permanent is dealt damage this way, you sacrifice a land. Ooh, that's costly. Lost to Legion, 1 and 2 black. Yeah, I grabbed one card too many. The last one is the good one. So we'll zoom in so that I can move this out of the way and you can see it right away. It's 2, 3, and yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Sundering Stroke. 6 and a red for a sorcery that deals 7 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. If at least 7 red mana was spent to cast this spell, instead it deals 7 damage to each of those permanents and or players. Nice. I like that, actually. That's pretty cool. Alright, Kaima. You wanna say bye? You wanna say bye-bye? Poor baby. So tired. Oh, you're gonna roll on the computer? You're gonna roll on the computer! Much love to you all from Kaima over here, and I do you take care. I'm gonna stop this before he stops it himself. Love you all. Bye!